Salam, peace be upon you. My name is Muhammad Laik Siddiqui, the father of HOLOPHASE. We have walked a long way across a ground that refuses to be flashy, not because it is empty, but because it is prior to every kind of show. In this first section of episode 13, we have not yet built a universe. We have built something stranger and more disciplined. We have built the permission layer that makes a universe readable at all. And now, at part 47, we arrive at the moment that decides whether everything we have done was engineering or poetry. Because there is a difference. Poetry can leap, engineering must verify. So part 47 is not simply another seal in the same style as before. Part 47 is the audit, the systematic verification. The moment we open the backpack, item by item, and prove we are not missing the one thing that would make the entire expedition impossible. Because if we step into differentiation without completeness, then differentiation becomes a miracle story. And HOLOPHASE refuses miracle stories. HOLOPHASE demands a firewall. So today we install the final firewall of the undifferentiated section. The backpack is verified, not guessed. And only then do we earn the right to cross into part 48, where phi begins to differentiate and cast its first readable shadows. And yes, the formal mathematical works behind these concepts can be found on Zenodo by searching for holophase. Now let me tell you where we just came from and where we are going. In part 46, we seal the irreducibility theorem. Any attempt to reduce phi either uses phi-like distinctions, which is circular, or it becomes inexpressible, which means it cannot be public science. In plain language, reducing phi uses phi. The foundation is not only necessary and unique, it cannot be decomposed into a more basic ingredient without cheating. So what do we do now in part 47? We do the verification that the foundation is complete for its job. Not complete as an encyclopedia of everything, complete as a license, complete as a set of prerequisites. Complete in the sense that everything required for a readable universe is present and nothing extra has been smuggled in. And then, after this verification, we allow differentiation. Differentiation will not be an added myth. It will be a lawful handoff from a verified permission layer into a generative process. Now feel the moment before the first step, because this is the emotional truth of part 47. Imagine you are about to cross a vast desert to reach an unknown ocean. You have studied maps that might be wrong. You have heard stories that might be exaggerated. You have been warned about mirages and storms and false landmarks. You do not leave camp by saying, "I feel inspired." You leave camp by doing something unromantic and absolutely sacred. You open your backpack and check your equipment. Compass, water, food, knife, bandages. A way to record what you see. A way to compare where you are today with where you were yesterday. But here is the twist. This expedition is not across a desert. It is across reality. So the backpack is not filled with objects. It is filled with permissions and constraints. Because before there can be matter or space or time, there must be the possibility of distinguishing one thing from another, keeping that distinction stable enough to count, sharing it with another observer, verifying it with a repeatable comparator, and reporting it without smuggling private metaphysics. That is what we have been building from part 3 to part 46. Not a world, but the conditions of world talk. Part 47 is where we prove the pack is complete, not by vibe, by checks. So we need a simple definition. What does a readable universe actually require? A universe is readable, in the public sense, only if these things can happen. Something can be distinguished from something else. That distinction can persist long enough to matter. The distinction can be compared across situations. Two observers can reproduce the comparison using a shared procedure. Claims can be scoped to windows so they do not pretend to be absolute. The practice can be disciplined with uncertainty, noise models, error budgets, and repeatability. And the foundation does not secretly assume the very things it claims to derive. If any of these are missing, you do not get science. You do not even get stable meaning. You get private narrative. So our completeness proof is not, have we explained everything? It is, have we included every prerequisite that must exist before anything can be publicly explainable? That is the difference between a cosmology and a license. We have built the license. Now we check it. Now I'm going to do the backpack audit. Not to reteach every part, not to repeat the entire journey, but to test whether each essential function is present. This is not poetry. This is a functional checklist. Check 1. Is distinction possible at all? If not, nothing can be identified. Nothing can be named. Nothing can be compared. We installed primitive comparability. Phi is the permission for distinction. Without it, something and nothing collapse into the same thing for public purposes. Result: verified. Check 2. Does existence make sense without smuggling? If we start by assuming existence, we have already assumed the category we claim to derive. We install the pre-ontological status. Even asking, does it exist, presupposes is versus is not. So phi sits before existence claims. Result: verified. Check 3. Have we confused possibility with outcome? If we do, we turn emergence into destiny and we import teleology. We seal that phi is not difference itself. Phi is not the event of differences appearing, it is the capacity for differences to be possible. Result: verified. Check 4. Can anything be public without absolute readings? If we allow absolute access, we collapse into private metaphysics disguised as science. We seal the gauge relational essence. Only relations and invariants can be shelled publicly. Absolute phi values are not public. Result: verified. Check 5. Can claims travel between observers without cheating? If not, knowledge cannot become public. It stays trapped inside private perspective. We install the public carrier requirement. Encodings must survive translation and shifts of reference. Result: verified. Check 6. Do we have a seed for exactness? If not, measurement never becomes crisp. Counting never becomes anchored. We installed closure and cyclic value space. Closure implies exact returns, which later seeds integers and discreteness. Result: verified. Check 7. Can reality be locally smooth yet globally non-trivial? If not, patchwork will be mistaken for contradiction and global structure will be treated as impossible. We installed the bundle and section logic. Local patches can stitch into global structure without breaking coherence. Result: verified. Check 8. Have we smuggled spacetime as the container? If we did, the silent ground is compromised, because we started inside the very stage we claim to build. We installed the abstract event domain. No pre-installed spacetime. Where and when are later readings, not starting assumptions. Result: verified. Check 9. Is local modeling justified? If not, any approximation is illegitimate and public modeling collapses. We installed local coherence, smoothness as consistency. Local coherence justifies local approximations. Result: verified. Check 10. Do we acknowledge infinite depth but finite access? If not, We build fantasies of total knowledge and treat limits as temporary weakness. We installed infinite jet potential. Reality may be bottomless in descriptive depth, but observers extract finite slices. Result? Verified. Now, this completes the original silent ground spine, but as the episode matured, we installed a more explicit firewall grammar, especially from part 31 onward. So we checked those as well. Check 11. Did we install humility as a rule? If not, people assert essence where only constraints exist. We sealed epistemic humility. We do not pick up phi, we stand on it. We can point to operational signatures, not grasp it directly. Result? Verified. Check 12. Did we install Windows? If not, claims become boundaryless myths and falsification disappears. We installed the windowed locality axiom. Public knowledge exists only inside finite licensed windows with explicit boundaries. No window, no public truth. Result? Verified. Check 13. Do we have a coherence threshold? If not, the difference between pattern and noise is undefined, and superstition leaks into certification. We installed the coherence licensing threshold gamma. Below gamma is noise, above gamma is licensable pattern. Result? Verified. Check 14. Is finite access structural? If not, people will treat finitude as a temporary technical issue rather than the shape of public knowledge. We installed the finite access principle. Finite observers can extract only finite statements from phi's infinite descriptive depth. Result? Verified. Check 15. Is estimation discipline mandatory? If not, claims become vibes. The bridge from private impression to public truth collapses. We install the estimation discipline requirement. A claim becomes scientific only when it carries uncertainty budget, noise model, replication protocol, and explicit scope. No error bars, no science. Result? Verified. Check 16. Are public observables finite? If not, we demand impossible verification and we smuggle infinity through the back door. We installed finite jet sufficiency. Public reality is finite derivative. Public observables depend on finite order change information. Result? Verified. Check 17. Is science defined as reconstructible comparison? If not, private observation masquerades as public fact. We installed the public comparator axiom. Science is what survives reconstruction. No comparator chain, no public fact. Result: verified. Check 18. Are observationally equivalent models treated as equivalent? If not, hidden essences sneak in, and endless metaphysical wars pretend to be empirical disputes. We installed extensionality and encoder-complete equivalence. No observational difference implies no scientific difference. Result: verified. Now, with this in place, we can state the heart of part 47. It is not another concept. It is the closure of prerequisites. We are asking a single question. Have we included every load-bearing requirement for a universe to become publicly readable without smuggling any extra primitive? And the answer, after the audit, is yes. Not because it feels complete, but because every essential function is covered. Distinction is possible. Publicness is possible. Comparability is possible. Windowed reconstruction is possible. Noise versus signal is handled by gamma. Finite extraction is acknowledged by finite access. Certification is disciplined by estimation discipline. Observables are kept in finite jets. Reconstruction is enforced by comparators. Metaphysical duplication is blocked by extensionality. Now we can say the completeness statement in plain language. The foundation is closed under prerequisites, meaning there is no missing tool that must be imported before differentiation begins. And this matters because differentiation is not allowed to look like magic. Differentiation must look like the next lawful step. Now we stamp the prediction of part 47, because prediction is the spine of a firewalled program. Prediction. When we begin differentiation, we will not need to introduce any genuinely new primitive. We will not say, oh, we forgot time. We will not say, oh, we must add a special substance. We will not say, oh, we need a hidden constant. Differentiation will unfold as the natural next step from this sealed set. In one line. Phi cosmogenesis will require no new primitives beyond the backpack we verified. That prediction is sharp. Because it can fail. And if it fails, we do not hide it. We name the failure and we accept correction. So now we state the falsification challenge of part 47, just as sharply. Falsification. Show one genuinely new primitive that cosmogenesis requires, which is not already present in the seals and cannot be derived from them, while still keeping the result publicly testable. Not a new word, not a new metaphor, a genuinely new primitive. Something that cannot be re-expressed as comparability, invariance, windowing, coherence, finite access, estimation discipline, finite jet observables, comparator reconstruction, extensionality, or the firewall constraints that prevent smuggling. And the primitive must still be public. Because a primitive that cannot be tested is not a primitive for cosmogenesis. It is only a private belief. So the falsification task is demanding by design. Bring one new primitive that is both necessary and testable and not already inside the backpack. If you can, the completeness proof fails. If you cannot, the handoff is earned. And now we do the honest thing. We try to falsify ourselves. We do not protect our foundation by ignoring challenges. We stress test it. Attempt 1. We need time. But time was explicitly sealed as non-primitive. Time becomes meaningful only after change becomes readable. And change requires comparability and consistency, which we have. So time is not missing. Time is a later reading. Attempt 2. We need space. Space was also not assumed. We allowed event organization without a pre-installed container. So space is not missing. It is an emergent organization of distinctions. Attempt 3. We need causality. Causality is a stable pattern of dependable comparison across windows. It requires comparator reconstruction, repeatability, and coherence above gamma, all in the backpack. So causality is not missing. It will be a stabilized pattern once differentiation gives us sequences to compare. Attempt 4. We need matter and energy. Matter and energy are names for stable, reproducible patterns of interaction and persistence, certified under Windows, with estimation discipline. So matter and energy are not primitives here. They will be licensed patterns later. Attempt 5. We need laws of physics. Laws are compressions of stable regularities under comparison. Regularity requires coherence and repeatability, which we have. And it requires observable change, which arrives with differentiation. So laws are not missing. They are what becomes writable once change exists. Attempt 6. We need consciousness. But we already installed latent self-applicability as a seed. Observer-like structures are not imported as magic. They are seeded as a possible later pattern. So consciousness is not a prerequisite. It is a later emergence within the certified grammar. Attempt 7. We need randomness and uncertainty. Finite access plus estimation discipline already implies uncertainty as an operational fact. So uncertainty is not missing. Attempt 8. We need information and entropy. Information depends on distinction. We have that, so it is not missing. Attempt 9. We need meaning and purpose. Meaning and purpose require self-referential patterns capable of evaluation. That is not a prerequisite for a readable universe. It is a later phenomenon that becomes possible once differentiation yields structured processes. So these are not missing prerequisites. In every attempt, the supposed missing primitive is either already in the backpack under a stricter name, or it is not a prerequisite at all, or it is not testable as a public primitive. So the falsification attempt fails, so far. And that is exactly what a completeness audit is supposed to survive. Now I want you to understand why this verification is not a formality. This is the bridge load test. Imagine a bridge across a canyon. If you build it without testing load-bearing points, then the first truck that crosses becomes your experiment. That is reckless. A mature civilization does not do that. A mature science does not do that. Part 47 is the load test. Not of the universe, of our foundation. We test whether it can carry what we are about to drive onto it. Differentiation. If the bridge collapses, then the theory collapses. So this verification is not optional. It is the difference between disciplined cosmogenesis and mythic cosmogenesis. And Part 47 also installs a very practical firewall against the most common failure of foundations, the just one more thing disease. Many foundations keep adding just one more thing, a constant, a field, a dimension, a special observer rule, a hidden selector, and each addition is justified as necessary, but necessity is a strong word. HOLOPHASE demands that necessity be proven operationally. So Part 47 installs a firewall response. If someone says you must add X, the program answers with 4 demands. Show X is necessary for a readable universe. Show X is not already present or derivable from the seals. Show X can be made public through licensed windows and comparator chains. Show what it predicts and how it could be falsified. If they cannot, then X is not completion, it is smuggling. And smuggling is forbidden here. Now step back, because something quiet and astonishing has happened. We began with almost nothing. Not matter, not space, not time, not energy, not even existence as a starting word. We began with a single permission. Distinction must be possible. And by refusing to cheat, by installing windows, coherence thresholds, error budgets, comparators, extensionality, and non-smuggling rules, we built a foundation that contains the seed of logic, the seed of information, the seed of objectivity, the seed of quantization through closure, the discipline of public science, and even the seed of self-reference. And now we have verified that nothing essential is missing for the handoff. This is not a claim that we have described every phenomenon. It is a claim that we have secured every prerequisite for phenomena to become publicly describable. And that is the correct kind of completeness. Not total content, total permission. Now, we close part 47 with the carry the listener must keep. If you keep only one sentence from part 47, keep this. The backpack is verified, not guessed. Meaning, we do not enter differentiation with a leap of faith. We enter differentiation because we have shown, seal by seal, that the undifferentiated foundation already contains every prerequisite for a universe to become distinguishable, stable, measurable, shareable, testable, reconstructible, and ethically disciplined against authority without verification. And now, with the backpack verified, we stand at the edge of the second section of episode 13. The silent ground is fully characterized. The firewalls are installed. The seals are closed. So the next step is no longer philosophical. It becomes generative. It becomes cosmogenesis. It becomes the moment phi ceases to be only permission and begins to become readable as change. And that is where we go next. Listener carry forward. The backpack is verified, not guessed. We earned the handoff. No new primitives are allowed unless someone can falsify this completeness by presenting a necessary, testable, genuinely new primitive not derivable from the sealed set. Until then, we move into differentiation with disciplined confidence. The ground is complete, the rules are clear, and what emerges will be exactly what the ground permits. Nothing smuggled, nothing missing. Always peace be upon you.